Hello again, this is the South African Morning. Welcome. Now, South Africa needs to get on the road to economic development. In order to do that, everyone has to drive towards more reliable transport systems. Engineers say government needs to get into gear with the sector to get the wheels rolling. They say years of neglect has stalled the engine of economic power, but they believe they can engineer their way out of economic stagnation. Well, let's find out how to get on the right road to economic prosperity with Chris Campbell, CEO of Consulting Engineers of South Africa. Chris, a very good morning. Welcome to the South African Morning. What would you say are the biggest challenges facing our road infrastructure currently in the country?
So good morning, Dan, and good morning to your viewers. I like the spin that you've put on it and the road to economic prosperity. Certainly, I think it's going to have to start with how do we save lives? Because that is a huge cost to the economy. I mean, even before we start growing it. And what we advocate for is that we need to treat this holistically. I think everybody laments and experiences the condition of the roads in respect of the potholes and the risk to drivers and even pedestrians of those, not just potholes, in some cases they become, excuse the word, craters. And, but it doesn't stop there. It doesn't end there, Dan. We have to look at the road in its totality, all of the roads, whether they're national, provincial, or local. And generally what one is finding is that it's the issue of potholes, it's the issue of visibility on the roads. I think in our modern times with the neglect of maintenance, there is this assumption that road signs mean nothing. They are there for a purpose. They're there to direct and to caution drivers on the roads, to caution pedestrians, but invariably you'll see a tree in front of these road signs and people don't know that the speed limit is actually 80 and they're doing 120. Now, that's one side of the equation. The other side, of course, is the more difficult part. Driver behavior. How much more? I mean, we need to do a whole lot more about driver behavior, and even, I would hasten to say, driver competency. You know, many years ago, I recall a time, and many of us of my generation will know about the pass one, pass all driver's licensing. That situation has not changed totally. So the competency of drivers is also an issue that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, but the issue of neglect you've mentioned of this infrastructure itself is still very important. What should be done? You've mentioned there has to be a holistic approach. You've mentioned our behavior on the roads. You've mentioned the state of the roads. But if there's a holistic approach, how do you integrate and what are the different parts that must form a part of that integrated approach?
I think it's a wonderful opportunity for our government departments in all their spheres to break down the silos and work in an integrated manner. Is the issue of being run over or accidents one of the Department of Transport? Not necessarily exclusively so. The Department of Health has to have the facilities to absorb the potential for people who might have gotten hurt in accidents. So there needs to be an integration and on the road side, a much bigger emphasis on the infrastructure, not just on the tar and the potholes. You know, we're in an era where it seems that people have ignored the fact that a road needs markings, it needs lines so that and that's all part of the road system.
Okay, and you need to look after,
design.
and also I guess you need to look after the bridges. Sorry to butt in there, Chris, but as we conclude, it is the end of Transport Month in South Africa, being October in a couple of days. What is your message to us as South Africans, including government, as the Consulting Engineer South Africa, as we wrap up Transport Month?
So let's join hands as public and private sector and see how best we can address all of these elements, these moving parts, so that they come together and we can reduce the impact that it has on our society whilst we work on preserving lives, livelihoods, and getting our economy going.
Thank you very much. Chris Campbell, the CEO of Consulting Engineer South Africa.